Don't get too close. I have a zit right here. Yeah, I really do. 61 years old. How the hell did I get a zit? For today's episode, we are going to be making apple strudel, homemade whipped cream, and I'm going to tell you some stories about maybe some bad tattoos and some bad choices. Pretend that you've never hooked anything in your life and you're new to adulting. So today on That's What Mom Said, we're gonna make apple strudel. Also, I'm gonna tell you some stories about some tattoo mishaps, bad choices, and teenage drug abuse? I don't know. And teenage drug abuse. How do you say sorry in German? That's right, they say it like this. So, what we're going to start with are apples. We're going to do apples. I bought a couple from the store in case mine suck, but I also have some from my garden, like this, and you can see that some horrible critters and things have gotten to them. So, I mean, it's just like real life and the way that everybody is. Aha! See this and that and that? Let's take it out. See this? Just chop it up, throw it out. The rest of the apple's still good. This is what restaurants do too. If you think you're getting perfect food from restaurants, believe me, they're not throwing away a whole apple just because it has a little bad piece. So the way that you take out a core, the way I do it, is I cut it in quarters, and then I take off this little end, and then I take off this little end, and then I wedge this right here, and then I flip it around, that, and I pop it right out. It's easier to bring the apple around. See how I turn my left hand? But if you try to do it with your right hand, then you have to, this is like it's just too hard. So your knife stays in one spot, and then your fruit or vegetable goes around it. That's how you do it. This is how you do it. Don't worry about the little, we can do that later. Life's not perfect. Nobody's gonna eat your strudel and go, God, she didn't even peel the apples perfect. So life is a lot like an apple, right? Because you're constantly shedding your old skin. You're constantly taking off the bad parts and just sticking with the good. And if you don't do that, then you're just sort of stagnant, right? Because I thought I was going to be the same person my whole life. I figured when I was 17 that I'd just be always like a 17-year-old. And then when I was 30, I thought I was always just going to be that age and I would never change. And so you do dumb things. I did dumb things. Like, make long-term decisions based on just who I thought I was. For instance, when I was like 15 years old, I decided that I wanted a tattoo, and of course that's illegal, right? So you got to find an illegal person to give you a tattoo. So I found a guy, and he gave prison tattoos. Very reputable. Had a prison gun, but I was afraid of the pain that it would cause. So I took some Valiums. Those are called downers for you people who don't know anything. I took some downers and went to his house. He had an old mattress on the floor of a room in like the worst, nastiest part of the neighborhood. And I told him that I wanted a rose on my ankle that said, "Touch of Class." As I sat down and waited for this wonderful opportunity to really tell the world who I am through my body art, he unfortunately announced that the tattoo gun was broken and that I'd have to come back in a couple hours. And for some reason, I didn't go back. So that just shows you right there. And I'm not anti-tattoo. I have another tattoo. I have a tattoo. The first tattoo I got when I was like 50 years old. Can you believe? And I regret that. Here's why. I don't think you should ever get a tattoo that tells people who you are, because you don't even know who you are. You think you know who you are right now, but you don't know who you're going to be in 10 years. So I got Dude, I was so Irish. My kids went to Irish dance school. I had an Irish wedding. My name is Irish. I went to Ireland with my family to visit my castles. That's how Irish I was. I had a bagpipe at my wedding, all right? So I get this tattoo on my back, and it's a shamrock, you know, and one leaf for each one of the kids. I have 3 kids. And a couple years ago, my new partner says, you know, Sharon, you should get one of those DNA tests. And I said, I don't need a DNA test because I already know what I am. I'm Irish. And he says, you should just do it anyway. And you know what? I did. And guess what? 1%. I'm 1% Irish. I've been living a lie my whole entire life. It was really a tragedy. Turns out I'm Scandinavian. So my people just went over there as, what are they called, Lou? Trojans. No, Vikings. I'm a Viking. So I just, you know, take over places and kill them and chop their heads off and stuff and steal their shit. That's what I'm all about. So that was kind of a bummer to find out the whole tattoo was a lie. But that's just it, man. I'm telling you. You think you know who you are. You think you're always going to think that way, but you don't. And you don't want to, right? You don't want to be the person you were 5 years ago. Look at how much you've grown in 5 years. Just imagine what you're going to be like in 20 years. If you're under 25, your brain hasn't even formed yet. All you can see is black and white. Just wait till you see and you get to the gray parts. The gray parts are the best parts. Just wait. It's going to get a lot better. But anyway, I don't know about you, but I didn't really have a mom to teach me this stuff. My mom taught me things like how to clean the silver and watching an opera and things like that. She was a fancy lady. And so I didn't learn any like life skills like flossing teeth or saying no to boys. I didn't learn anything from my mom except for the fancy stuff. So I ended up learning on my own. I asked my sisters and they taught me a bunch of stuff. I read books. I tried. I've made a lot of mistakes. But mistakes with cooking, I don't think it's as bad as like with gardening. If you make a mistake with gardening, your plant is just going to die forever. Sorry, you're just screwed. All that time you spent on your knees for nothing. Am I right, girls? With food, there's usually like something you can do with whatever mistake you've made. Speaking of first mistakes, let me tell you about my first son. So he was a happy mistake, a little accident. And when he was, how old was he? Probably like 25 years old. He got meningitis. And that's not funny. He got meningitis. He's alive, don't worry. So he got meningitis. I get a call from his girlfriend and he's got water in his brain. Like, holy crap. So I flew out to see him as fast as I could. And I get there and he's better now, thank goodness. But he was telling me about his time in the ER. He went there and they couldn't diagnose him. They didn't know what his problem was, you know. And so, but he had a sore on his bottom. And they kept wanting to look at it. So, you know, he'd have to pull down his pants and go on all fours and be on, you know, and you're like, okay, well, there it is, you know. And so the nurse would came in and she'd say, okay, well, Sean, when's the last time you had anal sex? It's like, well, I haven't had anal sex. She's like, okay. And then, you know, a few minutes later, she leaves. Another nurse comes in. She takes a look at it and she says, okay, well, when's the last time you had gay sex? And he's like, listen, I would tell you if I'm gay. I'm not gay. I haven't had any gay sex. I'm not, I would tell you. I would tell you I'm not. They're like, okay, sure, fine, yeah. And so he's telling me this story in his home. And he said to me, and that's when I remembered this, Mom. And he pulled down his pants and he showed me his butt and he had a tattoo of Dirk on his ass in scrolly, pretty letters right next to his crack. I'm like, what the hell? Oh my God, what did you do? He's like, well, I was drinking with some guys and we made a bet. And the losers had to tattoo the winner's name on all of their asses, and his name was Dirk. So that's why they wouldn't believe him. So that's just one of the tattoos that he regrets, but it is a great story. So I also tried to give my boyfriend a tattoo once when I was a teenager. I'll tell you about that some other time. I'm almost done chopping up. I'm just going to say I'm done chopping up my apples. This is probably plenty. I got about 3 apples here. By the way, you can use pear or peaches or any other fruit you want. And you don't have to be precise about the pieces. As you see, I have big and little, and they're just all over the place. Don't worry about it. I'm not gonna do things right, and I'm not gonna do things perfect. So, good news. And it's all gonna taste fine because it's, you know, you still have the fat and the sugar. That's all we care about. So I'm gonna go get a spoon. It's silver. Thanks, Mom. And I like raisins in my strudel, but my boyfriend doesn't because his mom used to put raisins in his strudel and he hated it. But we use California raisins because they're not icky. Here I go. I'm gonna stir up these apples. And I forgot to tell you that it doesn't, I would suggest using a tart apple. So I like Fuji's to eat, but I would rather have a Granny Smith in my apple strudel because we're gonna add sugar. And if you add sugar to an already sweet apple, it's gonna be too sweet. So just stick with something a little bit sour. And here comes the sugar part. Put in my brown sugar, toss in the old raisins, and any kind of nut you want to use. I love pecans, but also walnuts are great. And also, instead of raisins, you can have cranberries, or you could have dried cherries. So I've already added my brown sugar, and I have golden raisins here. But you don't have to have golden raisins. You can have regular gross raisins. Or you could use cranberries or dried cherries, anything. I'm going to put in these pecans. I love pecans, they're pecan pieces, but you could also use walnuts or even what's it called? Pistachios. Shell them first. And this is about a teaspoon of cinnamon. Now, honestly, I've never had a dish where I thought, wow, that's too much cinnamon. So you can put in as much cinnamon as you want to put in. I'm making this for my editor and I don't want to freak him out, but you can use a lot of cinnamon. Okay, to stir it up, I'm going to use one of my favorite pieces of kitchen equipment. It's called a rice paddle. I got this pretty one from my daughter-in-law because she knows I love them so much. And I got these from a couple of rice cookers, which I'm going to talk to you about in another episode. But they are good for everything. Let's stir this up. It's going to be so easy. If you wanted to, you could add some melted butter in at this point. I don't think you really need to. But you can. Do it if you want. All right, so that's fully stirred. Now comes the fun part. So I buy puff pastry sheets. You can get them in any grocery store. I got mine at Trader Joe's. And I would just love to be representative of Trader Joe's, but let's face it, they don't need me to advertise for them. They're doing great all by themselves. So, cookie sheet. This is you have to buy this, kids. If you don't have parchment paper, you're running on 3 tires. Parchment paper means that you don't have to do as many dishes. And it means that you don't have to cook with aluminum, and you don't have to use a cooking spray that may have all sorts of weird stuff in it. So this is just, and you just put it over there. I mean, it's not rocket science. We're gonna do rocket science in another episode. So anyway, I had this puff pastry stuff. I had this puff pastry thawing on the counter for 3 hours. You can also thaw it out in the refrigerator overnight. So I'm just telling you that because you don't want to go, hey, I'm going to go make that recipe that I saw on That's What Mom Said. and then realize you have to wait 3 hours to make it like I did today. So I'm going to take half of my filling right here because you get 2 of these in the packet. One for you and one for your video guy. And I am going to put about half of the filling, and then I'm going to, all the good stuff is always on the bottom. Oh, it's going to be gorgeous. It already smells good. This is a great fall dish. I mean, I know that you may not make it to Oktoberfest, but, and maybe you don't get invited to a Halloween party. I'm not going to get invited to a Halloween party. It doesn't really even matter. You can make this for yourself. You could make this for you and your nice neighbor who took your garbage cans out when you weren't home. You could make it for your friends at work that you're trying to get along with. So I want you to you want to have a barrier of about a ½ inch around your filling. You don't want to cut too close. So I'm going to cut on an angle like this. Boom, ba-doom. Super easy. I put a lot of filling on this. It's going to be hard to close up. I might have to take some out. Okay, so here's the fun part. You get to fold it, and just peel it off really gently and put it over the top like that. And then peel it off really gently and put it over the top like that. And you want to seal this part because you don't want your filling coming out, spilling your filling. Okay, and then you're just going to alternate as you go back through. It's going to look beautiful. People are going to be so impressed that you made this. So, I mean, I think it's fine if you want to make it for yourself, but I want you to impress people. You know, tell people what you can make. And tell them about my video. Look at that. See how cute that is? I have little air holes in there. Ugh, it's adorable. It's adorable. It reminds me of when you were born. Such a cute little baby. Okay, look it's hugging itself. That's what it's doing. I'm going to call this apple strudel, but I don't really know what it is. Okay, and then check it out. You have this piece right here at the end. What are you going to do with that? I don't know, Sharon. Do something cool. Why don't we make it into a leaf? So I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it into a leaf. Like this. Boop, 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 boop. Did I finish telling all the tattoo stories? Let's see, I think I did. Okay, so I put this one over here. Oh, it's gorgeous. My video guy and his wife just got married. Are going to be thrilled to take this home with them. They get the pretty one. And by the way, if you see that I'm doing anything wrong or you know how to do it better, feel free to get your own YouTube channel and do it yourself. Okay, so there we go. How about that? I have preheated my oven to 400. I'm going to put it in, and then I'm going to start watching. Oh, wait, no, wait. Sorry. Never mind. One more thing. You can put it in just like it is right there. That's what Mom said. But I like to use a little bit of egg whites and brush it on the top. I should show you how to do an egg white. I'm going to show you how to do an egg wipe. So this is going to be very pretty. Press all your friends, or just make some friends. Take some chances. There she goes. Here's a tip. Don't leave your kitchen, okay? Or else you're gonna burn things. Leaves turned out pretty good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There you go. That's what Mom said.